Good day, everyone. This is Coach Reese coming at you with another great video. I'm hoping all is well with you and your family and that you're enjoying your day. The title of today's video is Who is Brandee Younger? Who is Brandee Younger? And I feel that this video is very important, young people, because if you all, at the young people listening to this video, if you're, jazz students or you're just, you listen to jazz music as a hobby, I encourage you all to, watch this video because, hopefully you guys will learn something and, apply it to your, to your craft and, I hope that, this video in a nutshell will enhance your growth in jazz music, you know. And like I say, young people, this video is for, you know, all the future jazz musicians and, also, young people that may listen to jazz as a hobby or, they may be curious about jazz music, you know. So, young people, I encourage you all to, listen to jazz music and give it a try, even if you've never even considered listening to jazz music, because you just never know, you may become hooked to that sound. You know, I feel that jazz music is one of the most, is the best. And this is just my humble opinion. I feel that jazz music is the most awesome music that you'll ever listen to. You know, there's a never ending uh, uh, there's a never ending strive in most good musicians. There's a never ending stride to discover their sound. Like I think John Coltrane was one of those, master jazz musicians that was always in search of discovering his sound. You know, so as a good jazz musician, I feel that it's very important that you constantly seek to find your sound. And you have to practice, 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 and you have to take the precious, art of jazz very seriously. If you want to be a jazz musician, you always have to approach your craft on a very serious level. And I feel that it's also very important, young people, that you have to be spiritual by nature. Jazz is one of those crafts where you have to bring forth what's in your heart into your horn or piano. So whatever's in your heart and in your spirit, you have to bring that forth through your piano or horn or whatever jazz instrument you desire to, learn and play. Like I say, approach jazz music in a very serious way, and if you practice, 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 you know, eventually, if you work hard enough, uh, you may become a master musician. You know, and if you don't become a master musician, at the very least, young people, people will respect your hard work and effort on becoming a good jazz musician. Okay. All right, young people, I'm gonna go ahead and get started into my journal. Like I say, the topic is of today is dealing with Brandee Younger, and she is an awesome harpist, and I wasn't aware of who Brandee Younger was, until here recently. The only jazz harpist I knew of at the time before I heard Brandee Younger was Alice Coltrane. But like I say, young people, Brandee Younger is an awesome jazz harpist, and I feel that she would inspire you young people and all you future jazz musicians to become, great musicians yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I think I've said this before. In order to be a great jazz musician, you need to listen to the greats. Now, of course, Brandee Younger is a young lady. She has a lot to learn and a lot to experience with her instrument, but she's off to a great start. And that's why I feel that it's very important that y'all listen to her, because I can tell that she's very serious about the art of jazz music, and I feel that she will have a tremendous impact on your study and play of jazz music as well. Okay, young people, I'm gonna go ahead and get started reading my journal. I did have one thing uh, thing that I wanted to talk about, but I think I've already covered that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start reading my journal. Like I say, the title of today's video is "Who is Brandee Younger?" Who is Brandee Younger? I love jazz music. I remember one day I was listening to my jazz tunes. Usually my app just randomly plays music. On this particular day, as I was listening to my music, this amazing sound tickled my ear. I heard the sound of a beautiful harp being played on a jazz set. I think I immediately picked up my phone and looked at my cell phone screen to see who this was. I remember seeing a beautiful African American woman on the screen. She was young and extremely talented on the harp. Up until this point, the only African American female I knew of playing the harp was Alice Coltrane. I associated I always associated the harp with classical music. I believe the majority of the time I saw or heard harpists, they were playing in a classical music orchestra. The only jazz the only jazz harpist I knew of was Alice Coltrane. To be honest, young people, I rarely listen to the new jazz artists. If I want to listen to jazz, I usually listen to artists of the 1960s like Dizzy Gillespie, Tony Williams, John Coltrane, Art Blakely, Herbie Hancock, and others. Brandee Younger has a classical jazz influence to her sound. Brandee Younger has played with Ravi Coltrane. She has also played some of Alice Coltrane's tunes like Rama Rama and Blue Nile. Young people, here's an example of classical jazz being relevant today in 2026. Tunes like Rama Rama, Blue Nile, Maiden Voyage, Love Supreme, and Art Blakely's Mr. Gin will live on into eternity. There are far more other classical jazz tunes that you should study as well. As a jazz musician, you need to be a spiritual person. Your tune should affect the audience in a way that they will never forget your concerts. I will never forget Brandee Younger's sound. I have a tremendous love for her music, and I feel that her music will live on into eternity. Jazz music is a living art. Every time, young people, that you begin to play your instrument, bring a high level of seriousness to the set or gigs. Remember, young people, always try to bring your best to the set because you may brighten the hearts of the audience that is listening to your band. Okay, young people, that concludes my uh, letter or journal for today. And in all my videos, I touch on 3 points on wisdom. I touch on 1 point dealing with critical thinking, and I have an ending statement of practice. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started on my 3 points on wisdom. Point number 1, wise people are good listeners. Point number 2, wise people have the thirst or desire to learn good knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Young people, I feel that point number 2 is extremely important. Wise people have the thirst or desire to learn good knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Point number 3, wise people have the courage to teach their wisdom. Wise people have the courage to teach their wisdom. So, young people, I hope and pray that you all will pursue wisdom with the utmost seriousness, because if you pursue wisdom with the utmost seriousness, it will be a tremendous benefit and blessing to you in the long run. Okay, young people, I have a statement dealing with critical thinking, and it goes like this: always be a critical thinker, especially when making big decisions. Always be a critical thinker, young people, especially when making big decisions. So, young people, I encourage you to talk to your parents about the topic of critical thinking, and your parents or guardians will help you navigate the differences between making big decisions and minor decisions. And young people, it's also very important to do your research on the topic of critical thinking, because this is just my humble opinion. The sooner you become a critical thinker, the better off you'll be, and it will be a tremendous benefit and blessing to you in the long run. I have a ending statement of practice, and it goes like this: I love you. I want the best for you. I want you to practice using love and wisdom in all that you do. Life is a game that you must learn how to play. Practicing love and wisdom with your family, friends, and loved ones creates a powerful team. Love conquers all, young people, even if you feel defeated. So, young people, I encourage you to keep loving and keep growing and gaining in wisdom, and God will bless you in a mighty way. I encourage you all to hit the thumbs up on this video. I encourage you all to share this video with family, friends, and loved ones. And I encourage you all to subscribe to my channel. At the end of the day, young people, I want you to accomplish all your goals and dreams in life. As long as it is productive, I support you 110%. And also, young people, it's very important that you be the very best person that you can be every single day of your life. That is absolutely important, that you be the best person that you possibly can be every day of your life. That is extremely important that you do that. Okay, young people, I have one more nugget of wisdom before I officially conclude this video, and it goes like this: don't ever think that you're better than anyone else, but rather, young people, think of yourself as just as good as anyone else. Humility is a vital key to successful life. I hope and pray that you all will apply that nugget of wisdom to your life. Okay, young people, I'm going to officially conclude this video by saying this: may God bless you and may God keep you until we meet again.